second panel discussion, our first panel discussion for today, inflation and supply chain, a source of headache for security players. Just as things started to get better for security market after 2 years of pandemic and all its effects, a new blow came. A global shortage of electronic components, problems with the transport and shipping of goods, and rising energy and raw material prices. Our A&S Adria magazine wrote about this topic twice this year. First time with the largest regional distributors, and later on with 8 representatives of some of the world's largest manufacturers. Almost anonymously, they confirmed the ongoing issues with suppliers of equipment and components from Asia, while the situation was somehow better with Western manufacturers. Still, they are dependent on some, if not on the majority of components sourced from the East. They also reported issues with inflation, which is, as well all witness it, increasing these couple of months. These issues are affecting the security market that it just cannot be ignored, and we have to discuss what it will be take to return to normal, especially since market analysts report that situation will continue for at least another year or 2. Today, in our second panel discussion, we are joined by 3 estimated guests. It's my pleasure and honor to present you Mr. Ognjen Ristić, Business Development Manager from Bosnia and Herzegovina, Dahua Technology, Mr. Nikolay Mittev, Regional Sales Manager, BriefCam, and Mr. Milan Rajić, Business and Project Development Advisor, Korea Trade Investment Promotion Agency, KOTRA. Dear all, welcome to Security Summit Virtual Event 2022.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you once more for being with us on this great and useful panel discussion. I will start with questions, and those are questions for Mr. Ristić and Mr. Rajić. And Mr. Ristić, you can first. Do you have difficulties producing security products due to shortage of semiconductor chips?
Yes, actually, as we are all aware, this problem with the lack of components, lack of semiconductor chips is lasting for more than 1 year. I think all the industries in the world are facing the same issue regarding this shortage and finding different ways how to solve this problem, which, yes, lasts for more than 1 year.
Thank you. And my another question. Did you have to look for other sources of components?
Yes, actually, even before this crisis started in real time, Dahua was searching for alternative solutions and suppliers. And thanks to that precaution that we took, we haven't faced so many problems. Yes, we had some issues because it's almost impossible to predict everything that will happen on the market and which products will be high demand and so on. But yeah, actually, we didn't face so many problems as some other vendors and industries.
Thank you, Mr. Ognjen. Same question for Mr. Rajić. Mr. Milan, security products due to shortage of semiconductor chips, did you have to look for other sources or components?
Yeah, in Korean case, no. But in addition to entire problem, in general problem in this industry, there was also some political issue with Japan, who basically imposed some kinds of sanctions to Korea when it comes to semiconductor raw materials. But this issue was taken care of Korean state for it has been monitored by Korean state for a long time, and basically it is resolved with government investment in semiconductor industry. So basically, Korea is trying to be self-sufficient when it comes to this this line of product, but in the same time, they developed a series of investment strategies to attract international investments in this area. Actually, for semiconductor manufacturers, Korea is considered one of the top investment destinations. But yes, in general, this problem was felt. This is the sort of international problem of Korea and other Asian countries. These countries are not enemies, but they not even competitors, and there is always a need for cooperation with China and other Asian countries. So my basic answer is yes, there were some problems, but they are being solved right now, or the government is aware of this issue for at least last 2 years.
Thank you, Mr. Milan. One more question. How does Korean investment will affect European market?
You are talking about semiconductor business or in general?
I'm sorry, you didn't hear me. Yes, conductor business.
Well, in general, all Korean investments to Europe were basically, how to say, problem solver for the governments who hosted Korean investors. I will just give you an example of Czech Republic and Slovakia, but also the case of Hungary. In these countries, when Korean companies started to invest, the unemployment rate was around 20%. Today, there is quite opposite problem. It is very hard to find labor in Czech Republic and Slovakia. It's somehow the interest of, this is also because why interest of Korean companies is shifting towards Southeastern Europe, which is good for us. But it is recognized in Central Europe, it is recognized that the main contributor to lowering unemployment rate were Korean investments. So they in each country they added some value and really boosted economy in entire supply chain. So if we are talking about only semiconductors, it is obviously even higher added value than in other industries.
Yes, I will be back, Mr. Ognjen Ristić. What measures did you take to ensure the enough amount of products in your warehouses?
Yes, we took several measurements because we were aware that this will happen soon or later. Lack of materials, lack of chips, and by itself, lack of the products. One of the measurements that we took is to warn and notify our partners due to the analysis that we made comparing, for example, with the last year's sale out, which product line was selling good, and comparing the demand on the market. And we did some analysis and also taking in effect ongoing projects that we had that could possibly came true. We did some analysis regarding this part, and we warn our partners in a time just to ensure that they buy, purchase, and order enough stock of the certain product lines that where we expected that we could have shortage of the semiconductor by itself this product line. So this is one of the measurements that we took that could help our partners to, let's say, be above this crisis that happened.
Mr. Ristić, two more questions for you. Were you forced to postpone or delay product shipment for ongoing projects?
Well, for most of the projects, as I said, our team analysis team did a great job regarding this part. So they took all the ongoing projects, they made some analysis, checked our stock of the chips and components in China. We checked what could happen, what to predict, what will happen with those projects, notified all the partners that were involved in these projects that with certain products lines we could have some issues, and we have notified them, and by that they also contacted the end customers, their SIs and so on, all those people in that chain to check what will happen when this will project come to life or to order or something like this. And that was one of the things that we did, and actually that helped us and our partners a lot, you know, because we could not predict all, of course, but we did some steps in front, so we didn't have too many problems with this kind of things.
Yes. What have you done to speed up the delivery of your products, Mr. Ognjen?
Yes, we also took several measurements regarding this. We all know that the transport issue is a big problem. Not only the cost of the transport itself, which has risen several times, but also we were all witnesses the case that happened last year in June or July with the ship in Suez Canal when the ship was stuck. Actually, whole world stopped working. All the markets stopped working for 1 month until this solved. So we are all witness how this small thing, let's say small thing, can affect whole world economy. You know, because from that moment prices started to rise of the transport. Everything was delayed and so on. But we also did, as I said, the biggest job was done by analysis team together with the sales. We made some prediction what we can do to ensure the enough goods on our EU stock. So the transport in EU is, of course, much easier than from Asia or overseas to Europe. And we acted on time, so we have provided enough quantities of product lines to have on stock. But yes, of course, we faced some issues with lack of some products, and this is the thing we couldn't really count on, of course, because we have several thousands of products in the Dahua portfolio, so we couldn't count on all to be on stock in EU. But I can say that we managed to partially be above this problem.
Thank you, Mr. Ognjen. The same questions for you, Mr. Rajić. What measures did you take to ensure the enough amount of products in your warehouses?
We are a government organization, and we are supporting trading between regional countries and Korea. But first-hand experience from the customers of Korean products here on market is that it was a terrible time for small and medium enterprises, but it was much easier for big corporations. So basically, what we had to do in these times, we frequently assisted local companies in, how to say, forming some kind of transportation alliances. Basically, this means container sharing, Basically, this means day-to-day checking the transportation options with at least 5 different transportation company from the region, also comparing transportation offers from regional countries with the Korean transportation companies and etc. In some way, many small and medium businesses in Serbia and regional countries, they tried to increase, because they expected this situation, they tried to increase their stock, but small and medium companies have very limited capacity to do so. So we also noticed this trend in which they bought a little more, but this doesn't resolve the situation on a long-term basis. Also, depending on, are we doing business with small and medium enterprises, or we are dealing with value-added products of big Korean corporations, we noticed that the difference is so big that some of the high value-added products from Korea didn't feel even airplane transportation from Korea. So this signifies to me how big this difference is between high added value products and regular machinery and other products which are normally shipped by containers. But basically, what we did is try to help with quality information and try to make some kind of consortiums in order to resolve each and every individual trade transaction with Korea.
Yes, Mr. Milan, KOTRA is a big organization, and you answered me a little on my next question. But were you forced to postpone or delay product shipment for ongoing projects?
Yes, many procurements were delayed. Many transportation options were delayed because it's a market thing. If you are in a hurry to get some products from Asia, you will pay more. But if your estimated date of departure from Korean port is in 3 months, then you get a better price on the containers, for example. But this is what happened in most cases, yes. And many businesses were delayed, and the same chain of events goes also for Korean companies. They are not, in many cases, they have a difficulty to deliver the product because their suppliers are late. And many Korean companies have suppliers from USA, from Europe, etc. So this is sort of a worldwide phenomena.
Yes. What have you done to speed up the delivery of your products?
Obviously, we cannot do too much to help, but what we did is, as I said, we increased number of transportation options for local companies who are doing business with Korea by giving them information and offers from Korean companies compared to European transportation companies. This was our main task to give the best option, at least in area. Besides the prices went up, there was also a problem where many transportation companies were using the situation to manipulate the price even more. So at least I think we were successful to avoid this situation and give companies the right information and the best price we could at particular moment, because the prices are changing every day.
Thank you both. Mr. Mittev, welcome once more. My question for you. You are not a hardware producer, but offering comprehensive video analytics platform. Nevertheless, you partner with many hardware manufacturers. Did they report the issues as well?
Yes, of course. So we are connected with hardware vendors. Of course, we are dependent on them, especially our system integrators. Usually the business cycle of our projects related to BriefCam, it starts from 6 months to 1 year, year and a half, 2 years. So it's not that big issue, but at the same time, there is delay. Because our ecosystem partners, they're having problems because our solution depends on a lot of servers. It depends how big is the solution, of course, and camera vendors. So yes, we are somehow affected by this crisis. But at the same time, we see opportunities because the demand is growing in this area.
Thank you, Mr. Mittev. Mr. Ognjen, again, besides the shortage of components, there are increasing problems with the sea and air transport. The price of single container of goods increased multiple times. Did you also face with this problem, and how does it affect your company? Mr. Ognjen, you are...
Yeah, I was
Thank
on
you.
mute. Yeah, no problem. Yes, transport cost is also bringing us headache all the time. Actually, it's not only the price issue, but also the transport time, as we discussed. Cost affected the price of the product for our partners, unfortunately. But since we could not do much regarding the transport price, because in this moment, transport price is like market goods, you know, it's changing from day to day. You know, before price of the container from China or from Asian countries were more or less fixed, but now it's like supply and demand. It's like stock market. It's something that no one could predict that happens that much. But regarding the transport, we try to provide the best logistics to our partners, helping them and finding some solutions. But during all this time, we have noticed that actually, yes, it affected the price of the product. But during all this time, we have noticed that no longer the price of the product is so much important. I mean, some price increases are not so much important. But as we mentioned before, the lack of the semiconductor chips, problems with the transport, and all of that affected the lack of the goods, a lack of the products on the market. So there was a high demand for general security products on the market. So I may say that our partners and the end customers did not complain so much about the price rising and price issues, but more the lack of the products on the market. It's like a bit strange situation that happened, and no one actually complained too much about some price increasement. As we may see, the problem is not for example, if we organize a container from China that costs like 20K USD or similar, it's the problem is when we ship out the, let's say, channel sales goods that are where the price of the single product, it does not cost a lot, one camera or something like this, and yes, then it affects the price a lot. But when you compare it to some product lines where the products are pretty expensive, then the transport cost does not make too much difference to the price to the end customer. So This is the thing that we are currently dealing with.
Mr. Rajić, the same question for you.
It is, as a government organization, obviously, we don't have much influence on the market prices, but what has been done by Korean government in the last 2 years is that there were significant government subsidies to transportation companies in order to reduce the price of transportation, especially focusing on keeping alive long-term businesses of Korean companies in Europe. This basically means that the companies who receive these incentives were in advantage if they were doing business through Rotterdam or Hamburg ports in Europe. Not so much in our case for Kopar and Rijeka, but we hope that this changes. And in this regard, I think there was a great improvement in cost of transportation from Korea, especially comparing to China. Many importers who do business with China and Korea said actually that the price of transportation from Korea was significantly better. So basically, besides the price issue, besides of the entire time frame of international transport was disrupted in COVID situation, besides the lack of containers, there was basically big effort from Korean government to support transportation company and subsidize exports of Korea to entire world.
My next questions are for all of you. As a result, we are now facing inflation. Security manufacturers are also reporting that they have or soon will increase prices of their products and services. Were you also forced to do so? And in percentage, how much did you increase your prices? Mr. Mittev.
From our side, the prices are the same, so there is no change because we are targeting mainly on the high-end enterprise, and our software, BriefCam, mostly is very strong in the vertical, government vertical, law enforcement, police, safe and smart city. So these are high-end value-added projects, and they're not that much affected from any price change. So our pricing is the same like the last year, and we still see growth and demand on this area. But at the same time, there is a reflecting of this delay of the delivery of the hardware part of our solution.
Mr. Ristić.
Yes, we can all see that we are facing huge inflation at this moment. All of the prices, like oil, like gas, like basic necessities for living, are going up on the daily use. You know, this is something that we are just not used to. Besides this, yes, all of the security products, I'm talking from my angle point of view, we had to increase prices as well. Just because of the lack of the components, and price of the components went up. So unfortunately, yes, we had to adjust the prices to the market. So if you are talking about percentage, we can say that we had to increase prices 5 to 15%, depending on the product lines, depending on the status of the components, how difficult it was to get them, at which price, and so on and so on. On the years before, we had some, let's say, regular price increase 1 or 2 times per year. It was just a couple of percent, but this year and the year before, we had to do it several times, but generally speaking, it's up to 15%, not more.
And the same question for Mr. Rajić.
Basically, I can give you some overview because we are doing business with dozens and dozens companies from Korea. My general impression is that the range of price increase is up to 10%, but in the same time, both the buyers and suppliers from Korea are struggling to maintain the traditional businesses and relationship by giving all kinds of concession to each other. All the increases in price that we noticed were done very responsibly and with many careful calculation, which means every time we had a price increase, Korean company would explain that and even demonstrate sometimes this is because the price of iron or steel was increased that much, so we apologize, etc., etc. So just in rough terms, in general, I see the price increase in machinery industry and in general industry area around 10%, but much less in high added value products like ITC products, telecommunication equipment, consumer electronics, etc. So these groups were most resilient to price increases, but maybe more sensitive to transportation cost, but not as much to the increases of material.
My next question also will be for all of you. Since you were forced to increase prices, did you offer some other services? For instance, extend warranty of products, offer some services for free, etc. Mr. Mittev.
From our side, yes, we do provide professional service for the partners, and yes, this is complementary to the regular offer. It is called customer care. This is helping them with on-site or remote installation, and of course providing upgrades for the software. This brings additional value to the already existing offer, and it is highly appreciated not only by the system integrators, our channel partners, but also by the end customers, because this deliver high quality system installation.
Thank you, Mr. Rajić. The same question.
Basically, as I said, the companies in business showed very much care about each other. Generally, European companies value a lot traditional suppliers, and they don't like to change suppliers. So we noticed the series of concessions made to each other. One of them is, as you said, the extended warranties, additional spare parts, any other concession possible to compensate the transportation time or the price increase and similar things. So yes, we see it happening on a daily basis, and really the more I have a feeling that more the business is established with certain company, more concessions are given because they want to continue doing business on a long-term basis, even despite current situation and the transportation and inflation problems. So basically, it's very innovative. There are very innovative ways how company do it to accommodate each other, and it's happening every day. Yes.
Mr. Ognjen, the same.
Yes, as a matter of fact, we did offer some bonus service, let's say like this, besides the regular support and that we have from side of local team and remote team. We have also offered to our DPs and our SIs and our partners free on-site support, online support and offline support as well from the side of the Dahua team. And we also try to compensate, let's say, some of the loss they had in their margin or their profit because of the price increase with certain partner programs, which had benefit for the DTs and also for the SIs in this case, various types of benefits like marketing support, additional rebates, and so on and so on. And actually, this program was very well accepted in our countries and from the side of the DTs and SIs. So yes, on that way we can say, yeah, we have compensated part of their loss they had on their margin and their financial status.
Thank you. Mr. Mittev, question for you. BriefCam's video analytics maximize the return of investment of video surveillance and help transform how organizations operate. Will that help to persuade customers to invest into your software and a security system in general despite this price increase?
Yes, actually, what brings our solution, it's software analytics technology-driven company, which is based on the deep learning video analytics software. And that, of course, transforming the regular CCTV video into valuable insights, which provide searchable, actionable, and quantifiable video. We are helping organizations to identify their trends, either public authorities or in the retail authorities. So it helps also for bringing situational awareness, for identifying and spotting any potential problems on real time. But of course, we do provide forensic investigation, investigating and quickly identifying object and person of interest. So this is very helpful for public authorities, mainly law enforcement, municipalities, safe and smart cities. But recently we are growing a lot in the hospitality with, of course, with the COVID problems since 2020. Our R&D managed very quickly to develop features for helping organizations with COVID mandates. So for social distancing, for wearing a mask, we are bringing a solution that can help different organizations.
Little reminder for our panelists, we have 4 minutes till the end of this panel discussion. And my last question are for all of you. There is a current war in Ukraine. In your opinion, how will it reflect on security market, both in Russia and in the rest of Europe? Mr. Ognjen.
Yes, to tell you the truth, yes, we are all facing additional difficulties with the lack of some materials. We are all witness that the inflation in the world last couple of months is going wild. When this war in Ukraine happened, and that, of course, Ukraine is one of the biggest producer of many materials that we use in our industries. But if you are asking about security market in Russia, in Ukraine, or are you generally asking about the security market in the world and how this war will affect the security market? So just let me clarify the question. Are you asking about world security market, how it will be affected, or you are asking how the security market in Ukraine and Russia will be affected?
War security market. I mean on war security market.
On war security market. Yes, I think in this moment in Ukraine and Russia, no one is thinking too much about security market, to be honest. Maybe some military industry, yes, but this is not so much connected to our branch.
Mr. Milan? Same question.
Same question, but I have to respond from our perspective. There is obvious disruption. This is not only the war in Ukraine and because of the products that were products which were main export items of Ukraine. It's also about sanctions to Russia. And we can feel that the lack of these basic raw materials is affecting entire economy. Besides agriculture, chemical industry, metal industry, these are all serious disruptors to the world economy. This is not only a problem of Ukraine and Russia or only Europe. This will create unfortunately, additional supply chain disturbance, and we will see how it will develop. We all hope that this conflict is finished as soon as possible, because the effects for world economy can be obviously severe. So yes, even in Asian countries, the consequences of Ukrainian conflict can be felt, and even to make it worse, with current inflation, we have additional problem in supply chain and basic raw materials prices, which will, on the long run, which can create more problem to world economy.
Mr. Nikolay, same question.
From our perspective is, okay, like each other vendors, we are affected in short term, but I believe on the long term is opportunity. Even currently, we do have somehow proof of concept project in Kiev due to the high demand of this analytics solutions such as BriefCam, especially the forensic investigation for attaining situational awareness. And yeah, we are not that much affected of this war.
Thank you all. We have pleasure to have you on this panel discussion on the Security Summit Virtual Event 2022. It was really overwhelming panel discussion, and in front of ANS Adria team, I want to thank you once more.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Bye. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.